Better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hopes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below, then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. It does warm up the algo, lets everyone know we're here, and does us a real solid. As always, I'm Cap Jim, my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exceptionally risky, and go to zero at a moment's notice. Please know that Steve and I likely hold tokens we'll talk about from time to time, and we are not financial advisors. Certainly not your financial advisors. Don't join us for that. Just join us for some fun, some information, and off my thing this morning, Steve. I don't know what's going on. I've had I don't have any excuses. I slept in till like 6:30. Never do that. Woke up, got to the gym, got a few sets in, and it is why I've shared before how I'm just a creature of habits and routines, and man, it threw my entire day off by sleeping in. And I don't have an excuse. I was out partying at the double XP party last night in New York. But GM, sir, how you doing? Hope you're having a good time in New York.
Yeah, GM, good. Getting here was a little sketchy. Do us a favor, give us a like, a retweet, a comment on the room. Love the GMs that we got going on in the chat. Close font fronting, but not there. You're in the right range, but not quite there. Very close though. Next door actually. No, GM to everybody in the chat. GM Von Fronten, Mesh, Thomas, Machiavelli, Mato Green Edge, Diablito, Dwayne, Mesh, all the good friends out there looking at the spaces on. Oh, look, it kicked me out of the spaces when I tried to click on it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and pop on stage again. I'm just going to go ahead and say GM to everyone out there. Please just trust me, like and retweet the room. We see you out there. We'll keep an eye on it, but I'm a one monitor guy today. Yeah, sketchy getting here. My plane that was supposed to be coming from New York to pick us up circled over the airport and then went to a different airport further away. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Couldn't quite figure out what was going on there. Was chatting with the Delta agent, and they said, and finally after a while, they said, yeah, it left for a security breach concern. I'm like, not what you want to hear when you're supposed to be getting on a plane in the next 10 minutes. But turns out, person probably just didn't have insurance or something. Somebody got in an accident outside the airport, fled the scene of the accident, hopped a fence to get away, thinking they were getting away from this accident, that they were going to sort of flee, which, again, it's your car with your license plate. I don't know if it was stolen. I don't know what the deal was, but fled the accident. And the fence they hopped was an airport fence. So congratulations, you went from fleeing the scene of an accident to a federal crime. And for 20 minutes or so, 10, 20 minutes, every single plane that was supposed to land had to circle or go somewhere else, because it's obviously a security breach to have a dude just running around on a runway. So that was an interesting way to start the trip. But the plane eventually came back.
Of all national, like of all things. So Steve, I'm going to remove you from co-host and then add you back as a speaker. It's just
I'll leave the space and come back.
I just tried to add you, but
my bad.
Of all things to like shut down an airport, that's probably like best case scenario. No, like when you first shared that it was the airport was locked down, like I was genuinely concerned. I was like, F that. I like if it's me, I may be like considering just turning around and driving home. But yeah, of all things to shut down an airport, that's probably like best case scenario.
So I was actually, like, I texted Dawn. I'm glad I didn't. Had a good time last night. I'll talk about it a little bit. I texted Dawn and I was like, look, if this goes this direction, I'm coming home. Or B, if I couldn't even get out last night, I might just go home, because there was a couple events I wanted to go to and some other things I want to do. And if I wasn't going to be able to do those things, then, it's like I'm going to fly to New York after a security breach for 2 days in New York. I don't know. But turned out it was just like a quick 20-minute delay. We all had a good laugh about it, got on the plane, no issues. And here I am.
Yeah, no, I don't, it's still, it didn't add you as a listener or a speaker. It's showing you as a listener now. I don't know if you're in the space, but if you are, maybe take a full lap and okay. You left and came back.
Yeah, left and came back.
Okay.
We'll give it a try. We shall prevail. A little sniffly this morning too. I did not get the beauty sleep that you got last night. Didn't get a lot of sleep Sunday into Monday. Didn't get a lot of sleep into today. I'm going to probably call it early tonight, just because I want to get myself back feeling good again. And I don't have any like night events tonight. So Adam Fern's got a pizza party I'm going to. Have a good New York slice. Going to hit up the Ape event today, Ape Chain and Jeff Staples. Hung with the Paul guys last night. But yeah, it was a good thing. There was a semi-pride event that the Centauri people do, whiskey and spirits from Japan. Some good people there that were there. Met Bored Ape Gazette, which was cool. Had never met him before. He's got like a radio voice like crazy. When I talked to him, I was like, damn, this dude belongs. He should be doing voice acting.
I didn't realize he'd never been before. I thought I'd met him. I've met him a couple times. I thought for sure one of those times we had met together.
No, you had and I had not. And he mentioned he met you a couple times, but yeah, that guy should be doing voice acting. I mean, not that he's bad. Like, this isn't like a joke. Like, he's a bad looking dude or anything like that. He's not. It's just his voice is like 1,000 times better than mine for this sort of thing. So that was great. And yeah, just Shippend and Debbie Soon was there, and a whole bunch of other people. Obviously, One Kim and the Centauri people were there, and the Pogs people got to hang out with both Pogs people, not just the one we interviewed on Monday. And so, yeah, good group of folks overall, and some new friends.
What do you have tonight?
Tonight, just that at pizza party. Tonight though, like probably going to get some work done in the room and turn in early, and then tomorrow, a whole bunch of events like Good Vibes Club and some other things going on. But abstract. Oh, go ahead.
Are you actually going to either conference?
No, I
tagged first you a side event yesterday. Did you see that?
I did. Look like, it's so funny.
I don't know the person. It just, it looked like a pretty incredible panel with the big brands they were bringing in to talk about loyalty programs, but I guess it was the slide event or something. So I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to go to NFT NYC or permissionless. In retrospect, wouldn't have been bad to get it. But honestly, I don't even have time, and I'm. It's the first year I didn't speak at NFT NYC. I mean, last year, I mean, we had the experience we had where it was kind of like I opened up the main stage, not a huge. They sort of divide up the rooms too much. They don't have quite the right venue, and as opposed to some of the other conferences that I've been to, where we saw NFT Paris, where it's just like a packed speaker room. NFT NYC, who I think is the same people actually, maybe didn't have the same sort of success with the way they did the rooms and everything. So I faded it this year. And I just, like I said, I wasn't even sure if I was going to come for sure. So I don't want to commit to doing like a whole presentation. The other thing about it is like, when you I'm not one who just does a presentation and mails it in. Like if you're going to show up, show up. I want to say something novel. I want to tell a story. I want to have a good deck. And so the time and energy to prep it, and then you get your speaking slot, and it's like, all right, can't go to this thing because I need to be there at 10:30 to speak at 11, and then you hang out at it for a while, and then it just wasn't the thing I want to do this year. It tangibly takes up time that you have in limited time you have with everybody, in town for the same reason. So, but yeah, it was good. Like the Centauri event was great. Yeah, like Tiger, NFT hoarder Jason was there. Sia was there. I was talking to him about helping, potentially have my daughter hit him up about baking because he makes the chocolate and things. And then last night, Abstract OpenSea Double XP event was really solid. Again, ton of people there. Got to meet our guy that we've been fanboying a little bit of, Eli. Got to chat with him a little bit. Who's been killing it over an Abstract chain.
I saw I did like another 80,000 XP week that yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah. He's good. Thanks, Kyla. GM to you as well. Or Kayla, I should say, is probably correct. I'm very bad at name pronunciations as much as Cap is as well. So, no, it was he did solid there, and it was just kind of random people, Dow Jones, some other folks as well. So it was just Dyla and Finn and all my OpenSea friends, Hollander, Devin, CEO of OpenSea was having some fun too. So that was good to see him out. And man, it was a good. Honestly, just like these sort of things are great because you meet with people, you have those discussions about what they're working on. Sometimes you find something to work on with them. So it should be. It was a fun one. And so today a little more of the same. Like I said, 8 chain, going to try to enjoy that. Get myself some pogs at the 8 chain event probably, and then like Adam Fern's pizza party, and then it'll be like I said, probably an early night tonight because I am incredibly tired. Just because again, Sunday into Monday I didn't sleep well. Or Sunday to Monday I didn't sleep well. Monday to Tuesday I didn't sleep super well, and then today I just basically walked in 5 hours of sleep and got up and hit it. So we ride, but yeah, tonight probably. Get some work done in the room after the pizza party, get here by a decent hour, and get some things done.
Nice. I entered my sports betting arc yesterday. I've been talking about it a little bit. I loaded up. I put a.
You've been in your sport. Von Front said this. You've been in your sports betting arc for. I mean, you say your daily fantasy is not sports betting. Like you've been in your sports betting arc for a decade.
But it's very different. I mean, it'd be like saying. I don't know. I'm just not clicking yet this morning, but it'd be like saying, oh, I've been in the trenches for the last decade. In reality, all I've been doing is DCA and Bitcoin. Like DFS is very different than sports betting.
Yeah. They're like related, but not the same thing.
I mean, I just like personally, it's results based. Like I have been a very high volume DFS player because I'm profitable. Like I feel I have an edge and I hunt positive expected value. I've not felt I've ever had an edge in sports betting until Billy. And I mean, we hit again yesterday for Cap's clutch market parlay of the day. So 5 days in a row. Like this is not normal. Don't expect this. It's unlikely to continue. But yeah, once again, we'll send a listener's going to get a take home or get a cash out that parlay today. So I'm going to repost the space. We'll pick the winner at the end of the show. 5 days in a row. So that's like, I think they've all been, one of them was a 3-game parlay. The other 4 been 2 games. So that's like 11. The last 11 picks I've put in on clutch markets have all hit 11-0. It's kind of insane. And Steve, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not doing any research. I know the.
Are you just using Billy, or are you using like
Purely using
ChatGPT?
No, I mean, so I use ChatGPT for my drafts in best ball for NBA, or now I hit on WNBA last night, even despite I had Caitlin on the squad and she did not have a good night. But so as I enter my sports betting arc, part of it is also entering my WNBA fandom arc. But yeah, Billy is. Let me just show you. Like, I'll show you. Like, it's not the best thing to show in the morning, because how it works is, it's got, as you want to look as close to right before the games as possible, right? When most, like right now, like the lineups aren't even available. So like we most likely know who the starting pitchers are going to be, but it's just, you get a lot more information as it gets closer to the game. Like, so about half hour before the game is usually when I want to get my bets in. But like right now, from the information we have, you can see here, the Giants money line is this BCS here. It says B. When I hover over it, does that pop up on your screen?
Yep.
So you see BCS 250.
What does that mean?
That's the Billy conviction score. So this line here is at 200. Basically, I don't bet anything below the 200 line. I don't always bet if it's over 200, right? But like yesterday, Houston was like a 400 conviction score, and I bet that. Brewers were like 350. That was my two parlays, and I hit. You can see here, if it's got a 200 to 300 conviction score, the hit rate, it's 59 wins and 39 losses. Again, this is not normal for sports betting. Sports bettors, professional sports bettors, they grind very small edges. This is kind of insane. You just don't see this. Now, smaller sample size on the larger one. So actually it's 3 wins, 5 losses on 400, because it's just rare that it's that conviction. So it's very, very small sample size. But yeah, all I'm doing when I'm placing the parlays is I look at this, and most of the time, I simply just pick the 2 highest Billy conviction scores. 11 out of the last 11. It's, do your own research. Billy's running hot. But one of the things we kind of flew over is, maybe we'll get a chance to dive a little deeper tomorrow with Bunchu. They changed their algorithm. Right? Have we talked about this on the show? Are you aware of this? Like before they were using Sports Sensor, they're not anymore. It's proprietary. Have we talked about this on here?
We have not.
Since they've changed to the proprietary system that Bunch built, they're crushing it. Like, I don't know if I can see I was going to try to show like the most recent, but anyways, long story short, we'll dive deeper tomorrow, but they really are, things running hot. So long story short, in addition to Cap's Clutch Market Parlay of the day, I'm like, listen, if I'm running this hot, giving money away, I may as well take some shots on my own bankroll. So I funded my Billy account with $1,000. I'm going to do a 1K challenge, see if I can grow it to, the goal is 10K, and purely using the platform, purely using Billy conviction score. So we'll see. I'll keep everyone updated. I may turn it into like a little series. The more and more
I was going to say, you should film a video. Like, you should actually probably, like, it'll be a really good video to say, like, I've won my last this many bets, figure out a way that you obviously tied into crypto, and then, basically show the Billy platform, because like that is an interesting thing. I think that most people would say, you know what, like that's fun, like, would be good to participate in. Like, you should do a video on that while you're hot and have won this many in a row. No?
I honestly think most people that are in crypto, that are aware of Billy Bets, the Tyler Diddits of the world, right? I know he's into sports betting. I know he's aware of Billy Bets. I think most of the people in crypto that are aware of Billy and the Billy token, they think it is just another AI agent that's going to have takes on the timeline. I think they think it's like the sports version of AI XBT, which not there's anything wrong with that. There's a gambling bot. There's some other ones out there. I truly believe that most people think that's all it is. It's so much more than that. Like, as someone who has been in the player take world, the sports betting adjacent world, and have spent thousands of dollars on subscriptions over the past decade plus for projections and simulations and tools. Like, subscription tools in sports betting and in DFS it's not like 10 or 20 bucks a month. It's hundreds of dollars a month for the if you're playing this thing at high stakes. Not an exaggeration. The Billy Bets dashboard, this is as good, if not better, than paid tools out there in the marketplace today that people are paying hundreds of dollars a month for. Like, this is the key insights. This is really good stuff. This like journey for me, Steve, it's been twofold. One was using ChatGPT every day to do my MLB underdog picks. And what it taught me was, I thought ChatGPT was really just aggregating data. I just thought it was going to go out, scan the web, read all the sites, and be like an
and like
aggregator.
you make your own decisions basically based on that, is what you're saying?
It's giving me actual player takes that no one's talking about. More like half the time, it's on players that the talking heads, the analysts, because what happens, very similar to crypto, as you might imagine, it's an echo chamber. So if Adam Levitan and Evan Silva start talking high about a rookie, all of a sudden, Davis Maddock is going to start talking. Like, basically, there's like a dozen. Like, it's very, very similar to crypto, where when something is the hot thing, or this is right now in NFL best ball, the new meta is drafting 3 quarterbacks. So everyone's starting talking about drafting 3 quarterbacks. It is an insane echo chamber. Like, I consume, I don't know, dozens of hours of content every week on primarily fantasy sports. And it is shocking how similar the takes are. The first thing that's been very different and yet also accurate has been ChatGPT. So when I've experienced that and I've come to trust the robot, and now I'm seeing the very similar results with this Billy conviction score in that robot, like, things are changing rapidly. Like, I just do your own research. I hold a bag of Billy. I'm not only did I fund my account, I'm considering making a material size move to pick up the token, because it's so much more than AI slot bots that are their market cap is many multiples above what Billy is currently.
So is the end result then, we should say this for Bench tomorrow probably, because I know we got a little bit to get into, but like, I wonder if the end result for Billy then is that a casino gaming group acquires them instead of like a, I don't know, a traditional book or traditional group or something, because you almost don't want it public. Because I think, how long before sports betting gets absolutely just crushed? Like, because, if Billy can do it and they have a huge lead and a bunch of data, surely somebody else can do it. And it's also funny, the echo chamber thing you mentioned, because people will say like, oh, the KOLs must have gotten a memo. They're all talking about the same thing. It's like, no, there's just a few tastemakers, and like, certain people are the KOLs, and like, it happens in all industries. It's like, it's the same reason why it's like, Stephen A. Smith goes and says some wacky take on First Take, and then the rest of the sports world talks about it for the rest of the day. It's like, that's what happens in those places. And somebody says, I've made this move to do 3 quarterbacks, and someone's like, that makes sense. And then they start talking about it. And AI doesn't have that.
Marvin Harrison had a very good rookie season. Like, his rookie season was on par with like CeeDee Lamb's and several other like Hall of Fame wide receivers. Most people that are deep in the fantasy streets thinks Marvin Harrison flopped last year, like he was a bust, because he got steamed up and overdrafted. He was drafted like the 1-2 turn because of the echo chamber. All the talking heads were like, he had a really, really good rookie season, but he did not meet ADP expectations, average draft position expectations, because of the echo chamber. Like, he shouldn't have went 12 or 13 in drafts last year, but because all the talking heads got on the same, started beating the same drum, he just got overdrafted, and so he let people down relative to his draft spot. But that's like if you look at just like projections and actual data, you shouldn't be drafting a rookie wide receiver there. But yet the reason was that everyone got in on it, and it's just like, so I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's more than just sports betting. It's like, there's like, you can tell I haven't like collected all my thoughts here, but there's something here that it's been kind of like an aha moment, like an unlock for me, where AI really is doing novel things. It's not just regurgitating things that have already been said on the internet. It actually is intelligent. It actually can have unique thought. And yeah.
I don't know if unique thought's the right word, though. Like, I don't think it's unique thought necessarily as much as it could be programmed without emotion and bias. Like, the Marvin Harrison's a great example. I saw people arguing Marvin Harrison wasn't a top 10 rookie last year and the reason wasn't because of his stats or numbers, even though they'll say that was the reason. The reason was didn't perform up to expectations, which is a fancy way of saying, oh, so you drafted him early in a fantasy draft. By the way, he is swole as hell. I don't know if you've seen him coming into camp. That guy got on it in the offseason. Like, his triceps are the size of my whole arm. But it's like, because like he had the same rookie season as his dad, basically, who is like one of the top, 10, 20 receivers ever to play in the NFL. So I don't know. I think it's funny how like people's narrative and things get spun up. I don't think it's that AI has novel thoughts necessarily. I think AI can do what it's programmed to do and remove emotion and certain individual, factors from it. Because, I mean, I even see it in the purposes where I'm talking to AI. Like I'll pin it to the top and blatantly shill it. I dropped my InfoFi article yesterday. Thanks to everybody who's liked that, retweet that, commented on that. I put it up top. I'm going to pin it to the top of the space. It's pinned to my profile as well. And it's an article about InfoFi and how it could potentially grow into sort of a web 2 application, and not just be web 3.
Speaking of InfoFi, if you haven't reposted the space, we do have Pons joining us here in about a half hour. We'd love to have a full house for him. I know the plague and the grinders and the Pons supporters roll really deep. We'd love to load up the room. So if you haven't already done so, give us some love on the space and let's get this thing warmed up. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, speaking of all the of InfoFi, but yeah, man, it's just like I feel like when I talk to ChatGPT about it, like it's not necessarily giving me anything that is like it's not necessarily putting together like a lot of thoughts, I guess, as much as it's just like helping me see my thoughts in a way a little bit differently. So I don't know that it's like novel thought. It's programmable. It's just different. It's hard to explain what it is. Like, I don't think it's like, not that you're saying this, it's like some sentient thinking being. You take somebody like Bunchu and his team who's really good at betting and looks at it like you do, like the way you look at daily fantasy. They look at it for an edge. They don't look at it for emotional reasons. When I bet or draft daily fantasy, I'm like, Dawn stacks teams full of Buckeyes, and it tends to do pretty well for her because they do well in the NFL. That's an emotional decision. It's not looking for the edge to try to win like big, daily fantasy weeklies. And I think by taking that and putting it into a machine where you take all of that out of the equation and then tinkering with it and letting the tinker sort of iterate, it's like you're taking your emotion and the human element. And I think that's actually what AI does, as weird as that is and obvious it is. I think AI takes the human emotional elements out of things, and by removing that, like there are certain things you can't take the emotion and the human element out of. Like, you don't want to take the human emotional element necessarily out of, generally speaking, art, right? Like, yes, it can create art for you, but like the feeling and the things that inspire art. But taking it out of, not even mundane, but taking it out of activities that shouldn't have as much emotion to them, like a betting site, like I think that tracks. So you said, speaking of InfoFi, we're going to have Pons on here a little bit. One of the questions I'll ask him is why another InfoFi site? I'll be curious to see what Wallchain's kind of opening act is when they do, roll anything out there. Kaido, you talked about it yesterday in the War Room. Man, I've been using my OpenSea quest to DCA Kaido. And not even DCA, just basically like when OpenSea says swap a $5 token or whatever, I just I swap in my Kaido, and then I go ahead and, stake it right away. I'll tell you what, man, like, I wish I had more Kaido staked. Like, I'm sorry
I didn't chill you hard enough early on.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I came back at it a little bit. I missed the first airdrop, whatever that one was you done. I've gotten a couple.
We looked yesterday. I just staked 75% of my initial claim, and I have 1750 staked, and you've sold everything or didn't have any, and you're getting close to where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm debating going harder because it's not like I'm selling Bitcoin to do it, because who knows, Bitcoin could be 200K by the end of the year. But it's like some of my other things I have going on and bags I have. It's like, I don't know if I pop those into Kaido if they're proportionally paying out, the math we did the past couple of airdrops, it's roughly 5 to 7% of what you have staked has been returned on airdrops. Now, again, that results atypical. Don't try this at home. Who knows? Not financial advice. But if you're getting 5 to 7%, let's just, to use a round number, you can call it 10%. It's not, but 5 to 10%. If they do a dozen airdrops a year that all hit that number at 10%, your plus EV. And I know you tweeted about this. Like, you should show the tweet because it's a fair tweet. I didn't think it was going, and the way that they're doing it is.
I don't think I tweeted about it. I think it was just a worm conversation. Just put this out because, not to jump in, but 5% return. Like you got $1,000 in stables and you're earning 5%. After a year, that's $50. This is very different. A 5% dividend on a monthly basis is $600 over a year. A 60%. Like that's,
I actually watched you calculate the math in your head. That was so amazing to watch. You did the look up at the sky for a second and panic, like, am I going to do this math? And you hit the 600, you right on the head and nailed it. You're like, that is $600. You're like, just say that's impressive. No, anyway, sorry, go ahead. It was just funny. There was a moment there.
That's where, and what I was trying to drive home yesterday is maybe it's not one a month, but so far that's been about the payout. I asked, that's what I did too. I was like, has anyone done the math? Because I haven't. But thinking about it, like there's been a few that have already claimed the campaigns have ended, they paid out. Well, in the early months of Kaido, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4 campaigns. Now there's 69. Like that tells me there's going to be far more, just mathing, there's going to be far more than one a month. Now, will they all be 5% value? Probably not. But imagine if they are. Like, we're doing math on what we've seen already, which it's lags, right? Like when Kaido started, they didn't have all these clients. Now they have, I mean, there's a world where they have over 100 clients. There's a world where you don't have 1 5% airdrop a month, but 10. Again, if you don't know where the yield's coming from, questions that like I'm not trying to get over our skis here, but yeah, I think I think your question was like, well, it's great if it continues, if they continue doing these airdrops. And my question was like, why would you think they wouldn't? Like, they are so heavily incentivized to keep applying pressure to their partners. Like, hey, I don't know what the model looks like. If anyone's actually went through the whole pitch, I would love to know if you're willing to share. I've heard it's $100K a month. I don't know the specifics, but they're so heavily incentivized when they work with these partners to say, hey, don't just reward the people talking about it. We want to make sure we're rewarding our ecosystem as well. We're rewarding our stakers. If they continue to do that, and they should, for their own tokens, value accrual, man, things could get silly.
I think there's a couple of things that come into play that we need to be cautious of. Like, is it a house of cards? Because at some point, this is like real quick, I just thought of it.
Like the biggest threat of the house of cards, I don't think it's financial. I think it's potentially people checking out. I read a post this morning. It was like, it hit me in the face because I hadn't had this thought, and it basically, Steve, it made me think, oh my, I've been doing the same thing. Basically, like my subconscious mind is anytime someone says anything related to open ledger, I scroll right past it. I don't pay attention. I assume it's a Kaido farm. Here's what I saw earlier. My brain has developed a defense mechanism that makes me instantly scroll past any content related to project listed on Kaido Earn. Basically, when I see a long post about one of these projects, even if it's just a simple tag, my brain immediately registers as a meaningless writing aimed at farming an airdrop without even thinking my fingers move to skip on it. One of the worst parts about this is I might actually be missing out on genuinely high quality content that would get me interested in the project. Since human brains work similarly beyond this certain threshold, I believe many others are doing the same, even if they're not aware of it. As a result, the only people interacting with these posts are likely airdrop hunters with small accounts trying to earn or trying to farm engagement for the Kaido Earn rewards. At this point, it all turns into a noise circle driven by short-term incentives. It seems clear that these incentives are doing nothing but creating temporary noise. It's turning people away from being on-chain users into mindless bots, spamming on social media. Kaido and projects involved need to figure out how to shift this into quality content incentives that can lead to long-term support. Like not a lot of that is novel, but the one thing that like hit me that I hadn't had the conscious thought of was this. I'm doing the same thing. When I read this, I realized when I see one of these posts, I know what it is. Even for people I respect, even for people I read their other content, Steve, my brain just thinks like, oh, that's just their, like, I just fly right past it. This is a problem.
Yeah, and I've seen, I'm not going to call them names. I've seen somebody who I like, friend of mine, like person who I really, really like, who's trying to get into the farming game. I'm really good. So it's funny. Yesterday, there was this whole like thing going on in crypto Twitter about like ghostwriting and people having people ghostwrite for them. I'm like, it's really fun watching CT discover that sometimes people don't write their own stuff, which by the way, I write my own stuff because I'm a writer by trade. Before it was in Web3, I wrote quotes and bylines for executives. They would do minimal edits, if any, slap their name on it. You did it. You have quotes in newspapers.
I've been quoted hundreds of times. I've given maybe 2 of those quotes. The only quotes I gave, I actually gave the Wall Street Journal quote. I was on Fox Business, but everything else, like all of our press releases, everything else, I didn't write any of them. It's just normal. It's also, it was funny to me yesterday. People were talking about, oh my God, people get paid to speak at conferences. Yes, it is weird that it's not the norm in crypto. It is so, at minimum, the norm is you at least cover expenses of your speakers. You put them up at a hotel. Like if they're going to come speak at your conference, you take care of your speakers. Like you don't always have to pay them, like unless you're a headliner. But it's so odd to me that it's like the anti-norm. Like people think it's weird that a speaker gets paid. Yeah, that's standard. It's always shocked me that. I mean, I said in a reply yesterday, I think as far as I know, Gary Vee's done this the best. Like he really took care of the VCon speakers, not only taking care of their expenses, but made them feel like a VIP, picked them up at the airport, put them up in a nice room. Like that's how you host a conference. You don't expect people to come and then give them a free ticket and a discount just so they can, like, I'll take a shot at NFT. Like NFT NYC, they give the free tickets to the speakers so they can use the speakers as their sales force. Like they go sell all your friends' tickets now, overpriced tickets. Like it's kind of a grift. Like it's so backwards, but we've been indoctrinated to that here in crypto. That's like, oh, speakers don't get paid. Like get out of here. It's been going on for decades.
Yeah, VCon was a great example. They took really good care of their speakers, but it's like funny that people are like, speakers get paid. I'm like, did you think Jesse Palmer and Danica Patrick just showed up to VCon? Like, no, they have an agent. They do speaking out. Like, but Gary knows this because he's an entire speakers bureau. In fact, I know people who are on it and people who have asked to be on it who don't do it because they can do it on their own. And like, they basically sell speaking ops, take a cut, just like any other agent. Like, so he knows how this thing works. But yeah, the idea that people are like, there's ghostwriters, like, again, personally, write my own stuff. But because that's what I do. But like, I also wrote a bunch of other people's stuff for years. Fortune 500 and multinational executives. I write their quotes. I wrote their press releases. I wrote articles that were printed in major publications, and they make minor, if any, changes. Now, the credit to my guy, Jeff Charney, my CMO Progressive, that dude is a attention to detail, everything has to be perfect freak in the best way. So like he was the ultimate editor when he got something. Like he would change a single word in a quote to make it work. So, but you know, he's also a writer by trade. He handled like, God, there was some major, I don't want to misspeak. I want to say it was like the Challenger disaster. He was like doing PR on that or something. So he's like, it was some major thing like that. And so like, he's got that too. But the point I was going to make is that somebody I really like, friend of mine, I see post AI content on the timeline. It is easy to spot. It's almost a thing where it's like, I think if you're not a writer, it's hard to spot AI content, or you think it just sounds good. If you're a writer or you use ChatGPT a lot, at least, and somebody I know, it's like I see it regularly in their farming Kaido, and I don't read the posts, even though they could be good posts, but I'm like, I don't know about that. And so I see it way too frequently from people where it just to your point you're making, I kind of tune out.
John Jones, the largely considered the GOAT of UFC, retired this past weekend. His entire retirement message, his retirement letter was very obviously all just AI created. It was loaded with M dashes, and people are caught like most like it's funny to me because we're not the only ones who see this now, right? It's like the leading comments are everyone dude, I don't care. It's just I do think it is a valuable skill to be able to identify that stuff. Maybe not so much today, but I think it's going to become increasingly valuable as our world progresses.
Yeah, and I think like there's this it's like, where do we draw a line? Because like on one hand, like when I write things like the article I wrote, I use AI to assist me in editing. Like, hey, I've got word echo here, or help me come up with a better title for this section. Here's some thought starters and some prompts. And at what point do we draw a line, though, or do people draw a line, I should say, because I don't really care. To me, though, it's probably on the original thought versus having it think for you. So again, not relitigating this thing. Person's happy now, but I got in an argument with someone at one point who was using ChatGPT, and like I think they mostly use their own thoughts and have ChatGPT formulated. But in one particular discussion, they very clearly were having ChatGPT try to argue the case as much as anything, and it was like, wait, like that's when it becomes, I think, a problem. And so, like, I think as long as it's your own original thought, but you use it to formulate it, like, I'm not a good artist. I have ChatGPT spin me up art. Nobody cares. So, like, I think as a writer, I can't be too pretentious about it. Speaking of Kaido, by the way, and how much money they're raking in, how about the fact that they just left like $1 million on the floor, not selling Telegram stickers and giving them away for free?
Yeah, I don't understand why.
It wouldn't even be extractive because it's not people in crypto who are buying them. It's. I was funny. I was laughing. I met Dem from Azuki last night. Another great one. The community from Azuki, and great guy. And I had this hilarious conversation where people are like, "Why are people buying these Telegram stickers? These are stupid. I could just save them." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, these people are us. There's 1 million of them and they exist on Telegram. It's like, these are collectibles that it's probably a gold rush. It's probably a bubble. But right now, there is hundreds of thousands of people who line up to Sticker Store, like, because the Sticker Store is separate from Telegram. They basically farmed it out to them, who want to buy these things and either sell them to you or use them or flex them. It's a lot like the 2021 NFT rush. And I don't get in the game because I need stars. And if you buy with stars, there's a 21-day lockup and all these things. And I just don't, like, part of the appeal of 2021 was I buy something with MetaMask, I sell it pretty quickly if I want to, or I keep it. I don't want to buy something with stars on Telegram and wait 21 days. It's like a vesting period.
By the way, if anyone did that and didn't get the sticker pack and you think you can't refund the stars, I think it was Zier maybe who found the workaround. If you bought it through Apple, you used Apple Pay or bought it through Apple, you can request a refund or I don't know if you had to file a chargeback or not, but I saw he did get his refund for his stars back.
Oh, see, I didn't know that you could even do that. So, but either way,
otherwise you can't. Like Telegram won't refund it, but Apple protects their users.
Yeah, but you need to know Kyler or Kayla. You got to tell me which one so I get it correct in the future. If it's Kai or Kay, I'm guessing Kayla. I think that's generally more accepted. You need to know if it's AI or not now. I'm losing respect for people who can't notice that ChatGPT staccato pacing now. I don't want to just can't help it. I can't not see it. And that's true. Like here's some Kayla. All right, got it. Kayla. Thank you, Kayla. I'll say this. Here's your telltale signs. If there's a lot of M dashes, it's probably ChatGPT. I use M dashes. I don't anymore because people think it's ChatGPT. I literally stopped using M dashes, even though I did
that. If I have ChatGPT like proofread, like most of them, especially if it's like important, I'll draft it, put it in ChatGPT, say please proofread, and let me recommend any changes. Don't change it. Just like what would you change? And it comes back. If it puts M dashes, I immediately remove them. Like that's the one thing I will change. Like
I ask it not to use M dashes. I ask it in the prompt not to use M dashes.
Yeah. Nowadays
when I do things. But yeah, like at M dashes, the question type, the ChatGPT loves going, but the real thing here? Question mark? Like it likes doing that a lot. So if you see those question marks, it's Yeah, it's funny. Kayla's like, it's the end of M dash is changing the future of human language now. It's so true, Kayla. It's like that is the telltale sign, right? So like, or that is one of the funny parts about it is like people like myself who actually use M dashes correctly in conversation stop using them. The questions format is there, right? Like it uses questions. The part where I get stuck is I love the English language. So I like to use words that I think are more elegant. Like I got, a couple years ago on my birthday, Cap and team, they spun up a video for like 40 people who said happy birthday to me. It was really nice. And I got one comment. I think it was teacher Katie was like, I'm glad I know you. I know the word bifurcate exists now. And it's like funny because like apparently it's not a common word, but it's the most elegant way to say a certain thing, not necessarily separate, but the way you can divide. It's like a specific type of way to say something.
So funny.
I
mentor, Mr. Davies, who was worked for Peter B. Lewis. And then his first venture was a spinoff of Progressive. The CEO founder of the family office I worked with when I did the whole phone repair thing. He used bifurcate all the time. And he put the word in my language because it wasn't like I'd heard the word before, but never used it. And bifurcate was one of his favorite words. So there's something deep in the progressive lore there. I'm sensing that bifurcate is thrown around often in the halls of progressive.
Yeah, maybe that's where it came from. I don't even remember, to be honest. I probably. But yeah, I think, but it's an example of and so I get accused of being AI when it happened to me one time when I was responding to someone about the importance of how NFTs make sense. I'm talking about provenance and sort of these different things that NFTs can do, like the fact that programmable software. And someone put it in a ChatGPT and asked how likely it was AI. And ChatGPT said it sounded like AI. And I'm like, look, this is my genuine response. There are certain words I like to always say something better. There's always a better way to say something. And I've become a better writer since working with Scott. I was a good writer before Scott. And now I'm way, way better than I was then. So I get accused of the ChatGPT thing because I just like to use
Odeka says, what if, just think about it, what if M dash were the proper way to write?
Not happening. A couple of things. We should get to our. I know we got Pons coming on, so we should get to everything else we got going on. I mean, Ledger sponsoring the San Antonio Spurs, pretty cool. They're going to be on the jersey. I don't know if you saw that. But Ledger going to be on the Spurs, and also released a card with a pin that can get you back your seed phrase. I don't know if that's good or bad. That sort of defeats the purpose of Ledger a little bit. So it's like a physical card that has a pin attached to it. And when you use it, you can recover your seed phrase. But it seems like one more attack vector for a Ledger. Part of the point of a Ledger is it's supposed to be really hard. But I suppose you could put that card in a safety deposit box instead of something else. Jerome Powell giving banks the go-ahead to conduct crypto activities, basically saying banks are free to conduct crypto activities, trying to be as obvious as possible. And it's giddy the fuck up because this thing's happening now. So I think that there's a lot of things happening in the TradFi markets that are really, really interesting right now. So those are the other things on my list. Anything else you want to hit on before more or market update or anything?
No, those are the big ones. I mean, a few things I'll touch on in the market update. For instance, a 70 ETH Azuki Spirit sale, which that's 35x floor price. I repeating what I said yesterday. That's got to be someone here who's already deep in Web3, and I just teach their own. Collect what you like, collect what you love, and it's kind of wild to me that still fetching those premiums. But yeah, no, I think that's those are the big ones. Go take whichever way you want. If you want to do a daily market update or the more you know first, your call.
All right, let's do more then we can do daily market update right after that.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the more you know, brought to you by our friends over at ENS. We're talking about NFT NYC, which kicked off in February 2019 as a small gathering of builders and artists, but quickly grew into one of the biggest events in Web3. By 2022, it was drawing over 16,000 attendees and more than 1,500 speakers. Yes, 1,500 speakers to Times Square and the Marriott Marquis. Panels, brands, activations, digital art displays, and community meetups took over the city. Ape Fest launched alongside it in 2021 as an exclusive event for Bored Ape Yacht Club holders. It became the cornerstone of NFT NYC Week, including yacht parties, surprise performances, and over-the-top experiences. Past events featured acts like The Strokes, Lil Baby, Beck, Questlove, Chris Rock, Aziz Ansari, Future, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and more. For several years, NFT NYC and Ape Fest defined the peak of NFT culture, bringing together collectors, creators, and the companies from around the world. And while Ape Fest recently branched off to host its own global events, the history of the two is linked deeply, making it a time when NFTs took over New York. While Ape Fest has moved on from NFT NYC, for years, the two events created a multi-day Web3 cultural explosion, complete with Times Square billboards, investor mixers, award shows, scavenger hunts, and art showcases. And that was The More You Know, brought to you by ENS, doing more than you know, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains to learn more and secure your ENS domain today. You bummed you're not here this week, or are you good with it? Like I was thinking about this.
I feel no FOMO.
I'm glad I came because even some conversations yesterday were super helpful and fruitful, and it was good to meet some people and give some hugs. I will say, like, it's interesting how we've gone from can't miss NFT NYC to I feel like people are split in where they're going to I feel like there's people who aren't going. And I mean, it was a can't miss event for about 3 years, 2-3 years. I feel like now maybe it's just because the space is starting to divide up and care about different things, but it feels like it's less of a gathering spot.
It's also a shitty conference. Like, permissionless being there has probably helped. Like, I wonder what the attendance and side events would be if permissionless wasn't this week, because it's a really bad conference. I think it's the worst crypto conference I've been to, and it's not even close. Like, just how, like, from the organization to just everything about it, it's not good. They had a, they kind of caught lightning in a bottle. They were early. And to your point, as you just shared, like they had the attention of the space, and I think they extracted. I think it's like how they took care of their speakers was not at all, and not only like as far as like using them to sell tickets, but they devalued their good speakers because they would have people who shouldn't be speaking at a conference like that. It was just like a free for all because again, that's their ticket sales model. So I think. I also am not like a fan of New York City in particular when it's 100 degrees out, especially or freezing rain. But I don't want Riggs come up and get mad at me. I just it's a bad conference. The side events made NFT NYC what it was, and there's so many other options now. Like it's not necessary to go to NFT NYC. Like honestly, like you're not even going to the conference. The side events are cool, but it's like, why do we have to keep supporting? Why do we have to keep doing this in NFT? I get it. I'm like saying it's tongue in cheek, but yeah, I don't know.
There's just a lot of people here. I mean, it is what it is. New York is still a central hub, and so I think it is a good excuse where the side events are kind of, they're here, right? It's like the fact of the matter is, like, I'm not going to the conference and I'm still not going to get to go to every event I want to go to and meet every person I want to meet and have every conversation I want to have. So I think that, is the reason. The conference itself, I've spoken at the conference a couple of times, debated applying this year again and just decided not to. Maybe this was probably the year I should have, because it seems like a lot of like bigger players are starting to get involved with it, where, you're seeing a lot of the sort of big players in Web3 actually kind of like, because even last year there weren't as many people. It's so interesting because their advertising page was like, people would comment they don't know a lot of the people. I knew a lot of the people, but like people were like, I don't know half these people that they're advertising. Yet at the same time, they have, Devin, CEO of OpenSea. They've got, Austin speaking. They've got all these different people from Doodles. They've got all these different people who are pretty noteworthy. Claynosaurus, Cabs out there. So I think they've got some good people this year coming in. So I'll be curious to see what the attendance looks like, because, I mean, again, just calling it like it is, it's hard when you're like, I opened the main stage and, or was one of the opening acts in the main stage. And it was like, A full room.
I just got to say it. You did great. The presentation before you, this is like, I've shared before. If you ever have a chance to see Magic Johnson deliver a keynote, go do it. Pay whatever. Like I've seen hundreds of presentations, hundreds of keynotes. Magic Johnson's keynote is here. Everyone else's like second is down here. Like he is phenomenal. I've never seen anyone. I pride myself on being pretty good in front of the room. I've never seen anyone work a crowd like Magic Johnson. When I say like in front of the room, like he was up and down the like. It was almost like he was some angelical preacher. Like I've never seen so
like Tony Robbins style, like he moves around the room. Yeah. That's like actually a great. So think of Tony Robbins, but instead of like a success principle guru, it's like an actual like it's just a speaker talking about business and life, but doing it with the same energy and going in the crowd and telling stories. And then he get like. It was like a mix of Tony Robbins, the best stand-up comedian you've ever seen. So Magic Johnson is for as great as I think Magic Johnson is as a keynote speaker, that last NFT NYC that you spoke at, the presentation before you was equally as bad as I think Magic Johnson is good. It was the worst presentation I've ever witnessed in my life. Maybe that's why, that's not why I have a sour taste about NFT NYC, but it just drives home how sloppy they are with their speaker lineup. Yeah, I most definitely had a like it was funny because it wasn't great. They ran over. It wasn't a great presentation, and then
it wasn't even the actual person who was supposed to be the speaker. Someone else came out and was reading tweets of who was supposed to be speaking. They were
the right speaker. They were the right speaker.
I was embarrassed for the person.
Yeah, it was the right speaker. It was just a weird presentation. They showed up. So people don't know, the person before me a couple of years ago showed up late. Walked onto the stage when they weren't sure what to do, like showed up late, ran over on time. So I actually shortened my presentation by a few minutes. I always have like cut points I have in my mind if I need to on that sort of thing. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, again, Kate was saying it, the first and good last NFT NYC was the Bored Ape Yacht Club where they rented the yacht. I think
the following year was still solid. I definitely didn't go to the conference the following year, but the second Ape Fest was an all-timer. And that year was electric. That was the year I think we spent $1,000 in Ubers going across the city back and forth because there was so much going on. It was a 4-night Ape Fest banger, and you had everyone else who was doing anything in NFTs was there. That was the pico top of NFT.
Yeah, 2022. That's the one where in our mind we're basically like. We'll remember it fondly, but at the time we left exhausted and we were all ready to go home by like Wednesday, and we were there till like Saturday. Like I remember I was here with I had a friend from home who was in Bored Ape Yacht Club who had showed up, and they were like, "This is awesome, this is awesome," and then by like Wednesday they're like, "Dude, this is like too much," and it was too much. But we got it done. But here, let me do this. Let's go ahead and toss in daily market update, and then we'll bring on our guy Pons. I think we're gonna have a good spirited disagree without being disagreeable discussion today because I think you're more on board, but I got some thoughts, so we'll do that.
The daily market update straight to your brain. Powered by ApeCoin, no hype, just gains. Moving on Ape Chain, we bring in the heat. NFTs, fence alpha, never miss a beat. Ape Chain on top, now we bring in the flex. The home of NFTs, figures now what's next. Come on, my head top, but you want the time to chop for one time.
It is time for the daily market update powered by ApeCoin, the home of NFTs. ApeChain has it all, bringing culture, fun, and community to the blockchain. Dive in and see why ApeChain is on top. Cap, hit it.
Yeah, we got a new MintiFi update. Go check it out. MintiFi just updated their UX. Bitcoin back up to 107,126, up 2% on the day. I'm still old enough to remember tariffs being a concern. I'm still old enough to remember conflict in the Middle East. It seems like the market is just powering through it all, except for ETH. ETH flat at 24.24. XRP up 1% to 219. Solana up 1% to 146. Doge up to 1% to 16 cents. I also saw this morning that the founder of Doge, this is a reminder that they sold their Doge bag for a Honda Civic. And today, that same bag would be worth more than the company Honda. Cardano down 1% to 57 cents. We're going to skip over rooms as always. Looking at memes, SPX Murad's coin up 5% to 133. Fartcoin, not listed here, but doing more volume than Doge on Coinbase, despite having a market cap that is just a fraction of the size of Doge. Pepe up 1% to 4 cents. Sheeb flat, as I mentioned. Doge up 1% as well. Looking at NFT land, we have Punks up 11% on the day. 45 ETH. The gacha weapon, you would know more about that than me, but seeing some volume there on the on-chain heroes.
You're gonna be sad when I tell you why. But go ahead.
Oh, really?
Well, just there's an OpenSea thing where if you get a $5 abstract NFT, it's worth something, but there's also a simultaneous OpenSea farm where $10 NFTs get you something. So people are looking at abstract NFTs at $10 or more. That's like $12 or something or whatever it is. So people buy that, they hit the double farm, they resell it. It's profitable, man. It's becoming profitable.
Yeah, I hate it. All right, so there you go. Punkism, another OpenSea farm, I'm guessing, on abstract, people double dipping, whatever. Abstract universe, guessing the same thing. Yeah, I mean, this is probably, you could go, if you really want to grind, you could go play the $5, $10 OpenSea flip game at Larva Labs again, pumping. You can always, you instantly tell like what's driving NFT volume, the OpenSea farm. So it's working. I'm surprised no one's did a dissertation on the fees that OpenSea is raking on these voyages, but that's for another day. Genesis, the OpenSea NFT, down 3% of the day.
By the way, my Newton swap, or not Newton swap. Yeah, it was Newton. My Newton swap was better on OpenSea than Uniswap, would have got me, for the record. So they are taking some fees. I just wonder if they need to show those fees. But sorry, I keep jumping in your flow. Go ahead.
Death Beef, I'm not familiar. Are you?
Nope.
8.7 ETH down on.
Click on it. Let's see what it is. Lines. I don't know.
Ton of volume. Why we should know about this? Who knows about this? Chat, help us out.
Yeah, if somebody knows what's going on with Death Beef, which is now down 86% with 8.7 ETH. So
but, I mean, sales in the last day are all 8+ ETH. There was a WETH offer 2 weeks ago at 5.6. No idea what this is, but 8,000 ETH traded. Interesting. We'll come back to this later. Sorry, I don't know the details, but DX Terminal, again, I'm assuming another OpenSea farm. Basically, OpenSea farm taking over the timeline today on our daily market update, at least on the NFT side. That's our daily market update brought to you by ApeChain. ApeChain on top. And oh, by the way, it appears the DAO will be dying. We've got about 24 hours away, 36 hours away from that DAO, ApeChain DAO being shut down forever. It's got a 99% approval vote and has reached quorum. So unless there's some crazy curveball, that should be the end of the DAO. Also, while we're at it, before we move on, if you haven't already hit our reminders for the rest of the week, we're running hot here with incredible guests. About to bring up another one here in a second. We have a few surprise guests that we weren't expecting lined up for later this week. So if you haven't already hit the reminder for our Thursday and Friday show, we greatly appreciate that. Would love the continued support and have another full house for our special guest coming on soon. Steve.
Right on. Well, look, that said, let's bring on Pons, because I think we're going to have a really good discussion this morning about not just, I think, Yeet or Xeet, or we'll find out how to pronounce it, number one.
That's the first question.
Yeah. So we'll find out how to actually pronounce the platform, and then hopefully have a good discussion about what it is. So bringing on our guy Pons right now. Pons, GM, grateful to have you on. Thanks for coming on the show. Always, like me and Cap had the same reaction independently. This wasn't like a big planned thing where we were trying to bait you onto the show. We had the same reaction independently where we saw the launch, the noise, the everything. But before we get into that, how do you pronounce your platform?
Xeet. It's Xeet. And can you hear me okay?
You sound great. Yeah. I was going with Xeet with the Chinese X. So that is correct?
Yeah. Xeet. Correct.
Excellent. Before we even get into the noisy part, I'm going to ask you the questions that I've seen on the timeline. Not all my questions or my feelings here, but some are. And so kind of combination of things. But I just think, while we have you, a couple key questions I've heard from a couple people. Big one I hear is, why do we need another InfoFi platform? We've got so many of them. What makes you want to roll this one out?
Yeah. So, you could ask that question about anything really, but I've been thinking about not necessarily calling it InfoFi, but this concept of rewarding people to help you build a brand since 2022. We actually launched, the Plague launched through our Frog Tank process, a company called Acorn, and we came up with what we called, which was a poorly named thing was called an E to E NFT, and that E to E NFT was was going to be very similar to what you see in the InfoFi space. So it's something we've been thinking about for a long time. We almost named it something besides InfoFi because we didn't want the label, because it is InfoFi, but there's a lot of things that we're going to do that make it different as well. But we didn't feel like it was the best tactic to try and create a new meta and a new platform and have to explain two things. So we just went with the InfoFi label. I think InfoFi has a lot of potential. I think it also has a lot of flaws. And so we're looking at the potential and trying to solve for some of the flaws, which are, everybody knows what the flaws are. You can see it on the timeline. Even today, people crying about airdrops or bragging about airdrops. There's a lot of different flaws with InfoFi as it's being utilized today. And our goal is to fix some of those and continue to iterate and ultimately to create a product that will work for companies outside of companies in Web3 who are just really trying to get noise for their TGE in many cases for what it looks like.
Pons, I had before you joined, I was talking about a flaw this morning that I wasn't consciously aware of. It hit me when I read this post, and I do think it's a real concern because I'm a fan of InfoFi. I think it's definitely not in its final form. I shared earlier in our war room that I think we're going to see dozens more of these. And I think it's very much in range that we see someone that comes in and builds the best product and they take the leading market share from Kaido. My biggest concern, though, is the noise, because what's happening, and I didn't realize it till I read this tweet this morning. I'm going to bring it up on page now. This person says, my brain has developed a defense mechanism that makes me instantly scroll past content related to projects listed on Kaido. I'm not going to read the whole thing again because I read it earlier, but the TLDR is like subconsciously, I hadn't realized that I'm doing this, but I am. And as soon as I read this post, oh my gosh, when I see someone talking about Open Ledger, I don't even read the post. And sometimes it's from people I respect. I value their opinion. I read their other posts. They are Signal, but my brain has been so conditioned to the noisy InfoFi farms that I just scroll right past those. Do you see this as well? And how much of a problem is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big problem, but it's not a new problem. I mean, we're all boomers here, so let's go back to pop-up ads. When they first came out, they were very effective, and then we all just started clicking past them. It was go back to emails. When you started receiving emails from companies with advertisements, you would pay attention to them. Now you all scroll past them. So marketers have to iterate and create ways to get people's attention, and then convert that attention into business. And I think and even in the Web3 world, when NFTs were first out, if somebody was talking about NFT, you would pay attention. But then, how many don't sleep on this NFT post have you seen over the last 4 years, and how many do you pay attention to? Because so all these things, everything has a saturation point. And Kato's there, or InfoFi is there with these posts. And so, yeah, you've got to figure out ways to maintain the attention, but ultimately the outcome that matters to create a sustainable business model for everyone is that the creators make money, their fans have incentives to pay attention to them, and the businesses get revenue from it. Otherwise, none of it works.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, that's a great analogy. The banner blindness, as we used to call it back in God, what was that, 2009, 2010, yeah. Back in the, when I was working at the marketing firms, and we're like, we got to solve for banner blindness. How do we do this with because it was very much a testable thing. Like, people just didn't see them anymore after they were first effective. By the way, shameless shill, would love your opinion on the article I posted up top on the space, which is an article on InfoFi. You can listen to it for 15 minutes. I recorded it as well, like a podcast, but it kind of hits on exactly what you said, which is there's these challenges of authenticity getting murky, sort of signal dilution, which we just hit on. I think loss of fun is an underrated one, where people used to talk about things because they really care about it, and now they're talking about it just for a paycheck. And, the thing you mentioned, which is, the rich getting richer. I know you've hit on this thing where it's, these influencers are the ones who talk about it, and then they sell their airdrop the second they get it and never talk about it again. That said, when you talk about scaling to the masses, I actually have probably out of the article, 1,500 words or something on how it should be used in Web 2. How do you see it changing, and what are you going to do differently at Xeet that would make it more usable beyond our corner of the internet and make it more sustainable?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too much in details, just because even since we've announced and been talking in the background with some people, I've seen some people, some of the other teams in the space kind of start talking differently and front run me on a couple of things. So I'm going to be careful what we talk about, but as we launch it, we'll explain it. But that being said, I think I don't know for the solving how to bring Web2 companies into this is the hardest problem. I would be lying if I said we have that answer 100%. I think we're going to iterate that answer. We know how to get Web3 attention, as you saw. Now we're trying to figure out how to get content that people don't scroll by. So this is the banner blindness problem you talked about, the pop-up issues. As you guys have, I think we're part of a lot of these conversations and strategies. People refine these things to get and retain attention, and that's what the next phase for us is. We're going to be tweaking our internal algo a little bit. We'll be A/B testing it, and then we'll announce a leaderboard. We'll also announce a mechanism that keeps fans of the creators engaged. And then the final stage is how to get people to utilize the platform. And once I think we've gotten that formula correct, because we think we have the formula now, but yeah, as you guys know, everything sounds great until you do it. Once we have that formula intact, then I've got connections in the Web2 world that I can bring in to test with them. This is a product that I'd be willing to do it. That's part of my problem in Web3 in general, is I've never had the hook that I was comfortable with bringing people here, just for lots of reasons. But I think InfoFi has that potential.
Yeah, it's one of the products personally. It's funny because a lot of people are like, InfoFi is the latest Ponzi. And look, I literally, again, not shilling it, but I think I end the article about basically saying the idea, can talking about your favorite brands become your new side hustle? Maybe. It depends on whether the future InfoFi is built for clicks or for authentic, passionate fandom. Because the truth is, like, it's easy to reward leaderboards built for volume. It's harder to reward leaderboards built for love. But having your favorite brands be a competitive sport, I think it's very interesting. And people have been giving free marketing to these brands for years. So it is good to think, hey, what can they get back, whether it's an actual reward or whether it's actual money? It doesn't always have to be money, by the way. Like, a lot of people are just happy getting stuff from their favorite brands or opportunities or even access, like a cameo from your favorite band who just sends you a personalized message type thing. So, and obviously the information you get on the back end as a brand is massive and makes your products better, increases loyalty, all those good things. And you can even track things like average check. So is this sort of the way you're thinking about it, is trying to move away from TGE, money for clicks? And if so, how do you go about finding clients that way? Because it feels like in Web3, in our corner of the internet, it's the locusts go to field number 1, then they chew it up and they go to field number 2, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the TGE awareness campaigns are going to be part of it, just because that's the nature of the industry we're in. But you can learn a lot from those and take it to real products. One of the things that you're going to see differently is we will have what I would consider real products, not just focusing on the TGE as part of the platform. But another good analogy that kind of piggybacks off of what you just said. And I didn't realize it. I don't think if you haven't been in marketing or haven't, probably everybody now knows. But at first, it was very eye-opening to me when I first got into the digital marketing scene. How many of the blogs and websites you found online were only really just affiliate marketing products. Like, they were only written to sell a product. And so the difference between a good blog and a blog that was only there to sell products, it was the quality of the blog and whether that person was writing the blog because they liked what they were writing about, and then they also happened to sell products, or whether they were only there to sell products. And that's the same thing when you see on the timeline on posts. There's some people that are talking about something because for the sole purpose of making money on it. And there's people that are talking about the product because they're interested in it. and they're probably actually using it. And so how we take that, you know, on the internet today, there's lots of bad blogs and there's lots of good ones. There's lots of good publication sites. There's lots of bad ones, and the difference is the good ones are being written because they have an actual interest in the product and they're selling advertising, and the other ones are being written only to sell advertising. And so we're trying to get to that point.
Yeah, it's almost like when SEO and Google figured things out, and they you know, it was link stuffing versus actually organically linking, and that makes a big difference. And yeah, and you know, like, look, systems should get smarter too as they go. I mean, Google, I think it was, I want to say they took Cabela's off their search engine for the week before Christmas because they gave them a warning and they violated it anyway. So, you know, things can happen that way. Let's talk about the opening act that you did there, because that, I think, was where I think Cap's come around and he's happy about it. I'm even more probably salty about it a little bit. So, and how it went. And again, and this is like, and the reason why I'm glad you came on is, you know, I love you. I have met you in person. We have hugged, and you are my guy. But you talked about a signal platform, and you basically opened up with a confetti cannon. You mentioned it wasn't intended, but like my issue, and then I wanted to address this part, is that the incentive structure that you put in place, because it's all about incentives in Web3. When you have incentives that are financialized, people do financialized things. When you have incentives that are not financialized, people do things for different reasons. Like, incentive structures are the key at the core of anything you do. And the incentive structure you put in place was fill your link, click on other people's links. Now, initially, you did have a pulled down points value, right? Where it was like 100 points for someone else's link, I think, and 50 for them. I didn't participate. And by the way, I want to be clear. I am not coming from a self-righteous position. I didn't participate because my son's friend had a sleepover. We're friends with the parents and we hung out till midnight. And it was, I sent my link once in a Discord, and by the end of the night, it wasn't there. So I'm not saying it was incredibly well run. It got the attention. I think you proved your value, but it kind of sends the wrong message. So I want you to talk about the incentive structure behind the campaign as well as the campaign itself.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't intended. I said I didn't think it was going to be as crazy as it was. You know, obviously we wanted to garner attention. It was a, you know, Friday, fairly late announcement. It wasn't meant to be that late of announcement. We were tweaking things in the background. You know how that stuff goes. But I wasn't going to wait. Once it was done, I was like, okay, we're getting this thing out. And Scotty and Tolly were working their butts off to get it up and running. And so then we launch it. And we knew it would go well, but like I said several times, I thought this was going to be a multi-day campaign. And after about 3 hours, I pinged Scotty. I was like, hey, we can turn this off, right? Because this is nuts. I was like, can we turn the clicking part off and those things? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So, and actually the only reason we kept it open as late as we did, even though we got a lot of grief, and rightfully so, about excluding the Europeans, I wanted to keep it open longer to just try and give the early risers there a shot at it. You know, but so to answer your question, I think, and you know, just to carry along the analogies of websites, blogs, banner ads, you have to have a hook to get attention before you can't. The internal dialogue that we were convincing ourselves with is you can't have signal without a little noise. We had a lot of noise, but the way I look at it is it's the headline, it's the hook to get people to know. You know, if you're writing an article, it's the headline to get them to read more. So the headline is the noise, the article is the signal. You wrote a book. You know, your book had a cover on it, had a nice cover, you know, colorful cover to get people's attention. You know, you could have just not had a cover and had a plain old book there, but you have a book to get that is getting people's attention. That's the noise to get people into the signal of the book. You used a health food analogy, which I laughed at when I saw it because it was a good analogy. About, you know,
I got a better one, but go ahead.
Well, let me hear the better one because I want to make sure I can overcome that one too. Let me hear the better one.
I think the health food one. I think there were some holes to poke in it. My better analogy, and I don't know. I think in analogies is it's the equivalent of someone who comes out and says, "Look, I'm going to be the best natural bodybuilder of all time, but to get in the competition, I'm going to use steroids first. But then I'm going to be natural. I promise." That's what I feel like you did here. That's a tough one.
I got to think about holes in that one, but yeah, I'm sure they're there. We can analogy each other death, but
An analogy also happening.
So first and foremost, the product is a marketing product, and you can't have marketing without awareness. And so we'll refine it. I'm not saying that that's what I wanted. In fact, immediately, like within an hour and a half, 2 hours of seeing what was going on, I was posting, "Hey, don't just spam each other. That's not the point." But that's part of that is the nature of what if we had done something like that campaign outside of the crypto world, I don't think that would have happened. In the crypto world, it's everybody's clicking buttons to try and boost points and for the sole purpose of a potential TGE. So the criticism is not, I mean, it's valid. I would not start a campaign without some sort of noise to garner awareness to begin with, but we can certainly do better on it.
So I was critical. I'll share the post I sent the following morning, and then I've since come back, walked it back a little bit, but I said how to make a quote unquote signal protocol DOA on launch day. Launch with an extremely noisy farm that leads to people spamming the timeline with hundreds of posts over 8 hours to farm the number one spot. GG Zubik, you won by doing the exact thing that this platform was attempting to fix. Hope to get Pons on the show to launch, to discuss and learn why those of us who didn't farm should care about a leaderboard that is objectively littered with noise. And I'm not attacking Zubik. I don't have anything against Zubik. It was just the poster child, because he said, I found a really fast way to stack points. I will be number one. And then proceeded over the next 8 hours to spam it over 100 times. Why I was so critical is that I think we all can agree that's certainly not signal. It's very much so noise. And I've since now my belief is, and I know you don't want to get front runs, you don't have to share everything, but my understanding is that those people who did spam the timeline are going to get penalized in some way, shape, or form. They're or maybe just get the same equivalent points as someone who posted it once. Get their points nerfed. My critique was, I get it from a launch standpoint. You need to get the awareness. Am I correct in saying that those boost points are not going to go into the actual algorithm for the signal leaderboards? Is that am I reading it correctly?
Yeah. So those are not signal leaderboards points. Those points are they're going to benefit. So there's a couple of things about that campaign. One of the critiques of InfoFi platforms today is small accounts don't have a chance of participating. So we wanted something that would allow smaller accounts to participate, and this did it, right? Now, at the same time, one of the reasons smaller accounts don't get the same level of I'm not going to use the product term points is because they're smaller accounts. I mean, that's just the nature of the marketing world. If you have 200 followers and somebody wants to market a product, they're not going to be very effective on your account because you only have 200 followers versus somebody who has 80,000 followers and 5% engagement. So from a marketing company, you got to do what's right there. But that was just one part of it. We want to get smaller accounts involved in the platform because ultimately incentives have to be aligned all the way through to get users, creators, and businesses an ROI on their time and money on the platform. But to answer your question, I posted a formula. That's not the final formula. And actually, I'm amazed by some people that I didn't give the variables in that formula.
I thought it was just a shit post. I'll be honest. I thought it was just a shit post. I thought you were just like, engagement farming. It actually appears to be a real formula because people have figured it out, right? Like it's a real formula.
It's a real formula. I was engagement farming, but it's also a real formula for sure. But it's we have some tweaks to it, but that formula will convert into what it wasn't for nothing. The smaller accounts that participated will have rewards for doing so, and they'll also whatever is what people call nerfed will be able to be utilized for other stuff as well. So you got to walk a fine line of not of having the awareness campaign that's effective, being fair to everybody involved, and trying to piss off the least amount of people as possible. And that's what we're trying to do.
What do you genuinely think this can be solved with full automation? Do you think there is going to have to be some sort of human element to determine quality over farming?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, yeah, there's going to have to be a human element, I think. And, that'll be part of our process. In the long run, I don't know. We're in the AI business. We're bringing on some people that are much smarter than me as it relates to that. I'm an AI skeptic from that standpoint, that you'll never need a human input, but everybody I talk to thinks that they can get to the point where it can tell. But then if it can get to that point, then why do you even need the humans on the timeline posting? So I don't know. We'll see. I think our intention is to have a human part of it for sure, to make sure that again, everybody involved is getting what they should get out of the process.
Speaking of humans, we kind of just jumped right into things hot this morning. Do you mind? You mentioned Scotty and Tully in passing. Do you mind giving us a little bit of background? Anything you can share about those individuals? I know several of the people in the community are familiar with them from what they've done previously and currently, but do you mind just tell us a little more about the team?
Yeah. So Scotty and Tully are the founders of Bearish AF. It's an abstract NFT project. Scotty and I have worked together for a long time now. He's been the lead dev on the Plague since probably 2023, and
I did not know that. I knew Bearish connection, but I didn't realize it was your lead dev. That's very cool.
Yeah, he's helped with a lot of stuff. In fact, I've got like 3 or 4 things going on simultaneously right now, and I intentionally didn't involve Scotty in a couple of them because I know how much stuff he's got, and somehow it comes around the horn. He's working on the damn things again. So he's always doing stuff in the background. A lot of the things that you use that maybe you didn't even know about, Scotty's had a hand in. He's a great dev. Tully, the other founder, and he does light dev work, I think vibe coding, but he's a very good marketer, biz dev guy, understands the business, understands the NFT world. So the connection there was I helped them with the Bearish launch. And I got to know Tully during that process. Again, I knew Scotty. We hit it off. And one of the weaknesses that I've had in Web3 is, I've got good people on my team, but they're good at what their jobs are. And in the NFT world, the jobs are not always necessarily technically specific or in a certain, like biz dev and those kind of things. And what I'm trying to do is put together a group of people that can offset each other's skills or offset and balance with each other's skills and weaknesses. And the 3 of us do that. And we've got a few more people that we're talking to that will announce that everybody knows 2 of them. And one of them is an up and comer that are big brains in the space and probably will join us. And we're going to have an all-star team on this platform. And I think I'm looking forward to moving forward that way.
Yeah, I think that's that you're approaching it the right way in that sense of not just the team you're building, but the way you're thinking about it. I do got to ask this question because we got this question in the space. We've had a couple other people. Not my perspective personally, but I need to put it out there. I've had a few people mention, look, like, Pons, he's got the Plague, he's got making coffee, he's got an IRL job. He tweeted about all these things in the ghostwriting tweet. Why is he taking on? He's got a coin that he's working on. Why are you coming out with another thing? Like it just feels like it's like, man, this is a lot.
It is a lot. It's too much. But the good news is for some of the other things you named is if I'm a part of an InfoFi project that can be utilized for it pretty easily without having to pay some of the crazy fees that you have to pay some of these other InfoFi forms. So, but the number of things I'm involved with only matters because of the strain of not having the right either people in place or the right partnerships in place. So with a lot of the things that you named, even though they're not getting the same amount of attention that Xeet is today, they're all still moving forward, or Xeet and Grind are today. They're all still moving forward, and they all will be interrelated as we continue down the path. I mean, some of them are doing much better than others, and the other ones are. It's not that they're not being worked on; it's just that they've the strategies had to be realigned. But the big part of why this is happening now is because, and so again, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It's something that Scotty and Tolly and I have been talking about for quite a while now too. And then we got to the point where I saw a gap. I saw the narrative on the timeline was reinforcing what we saw as the gap from early on. And you strike when the iron's hot, and the iron's hot right now. And so is it the ideal time? No, but I don't know when the ideal time would have been. So we're just moving forward with it.
Yeah, I know you can't give away too many trade secrets, so I won't push you on them too hard there with what you're working on. But I don't know. I appreciate you coming on and having a discussion with us, Cap. I don't know if you have any more questions. I just had a couple more closeouts, but go ahead.
I mean, I guess, where do you like you see the timeline taken over by this, right? You see people muting stuff. You talk about my subconscious brain flying past it. I guess if you were to sum it up with what you can share today, what makes Xeet,
yeah,
what makes Xeet different than not just Kaido, Cookie, Wall Chain, and I think we're going to see dozens more of these
for sure. Yeah.
Even after you launch, and it's like, yeah, maybe your actual algorithm is not out there, but if it works, I certainly expect others to mimic the playbook. How, I guess, two questions. One, if you can speak to it, what makes it different now? And then secondly, is there any sort of moat? Like, what would prevent someone from launching, find the other name that's
Fleet.
Yeah.
Fleet.
Yeah. How do you see this thing playing out, both with existing competition and those that haven't even been spun up yet? What makes Xeet different?
Yeah, well, and without getting into detail, the largest differentiator is getting the smaller accounts involved, because I think that's super important, because it translates into users, which the other InfoFi platforms are not really translating into users in most cases, from what I've seen. So that's getting smaller accounts, and even, we keep talking about accounts because we're stuck on Twitter, but even people that maybe don't even care about Twitter eventually involved in the process, that is going to be the main differentiator. As far as a moat, the moat thing always cracks me up. I think it's like it's a buzzword or whatever. There's very few true moats, in business in general. It's more of how quickly you can get to market, and then who can execute better and iterate better from that point. I don't know, maybe you guys can give me some examples of moats out there, but for the most part, they're few and far between, and it's just a matter of, again, iteration, execution, and we just have to do that better than the ones that come out.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just say, I think there's actually.
I mean, who has a moat? Who has a moat in the industry?
I mean,
in our industry, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on the way you define it. I mean, I think CryptoPunks is a clear moat as far as, but that's based on provenance and early.
That's not a business. That's not a business.
It's not a business-driven moat per se. So I think, I don't know. Let me think specifically on our industry, because immediately when you ask who has a moat, I'm like, I can name like a dozen companies with moats off the top of my head, but then you went into Web3.
In crypto, and I this is interesting. This is probably a deeper conversation. It's got my brain spinning, because in crypto, like, I didn't know what a vampire attack was before crypto. Like, I know similar mechanics have been deployed in Web 2 and in traditional business, but like this idea of not just open source code, transparent on-chain contracts, but also the concept of a vampire attack. It feels like you're probably right. There probably is not a lot of moats in crypto. And I would say with the evolution in rapid developments in AI, where there are moats today, those probably get knocked down in the future. So that's fair. I think there's
Yeah, it's even harder to have a moat because you've got all these chains where you can take the same product and put it on a different chain. And you're going to be tied to the success of the chain and those kind of things. So it's even harder, even if there was a moat. But for the sake of discussion, and sorry to interrupt, Captain, what was one of the companies you were thinking of with a moat, Steve?
Oh, I mean, if you're talking about like Web 2 companies, you can talk about Facebook's data moat that they have, something like that, right? You can replicate the product, but you can't replicate their data. Google is in the same sort of boat there as well, their moat boat. And you can go down the list of like sort of the top companies and kind of define what they have as their moat, which most of them they built out. I'm more actually just sort of wowed by the fact that I've never thought about the fact that crypto companies don't really have it's actually a thing that doesn't largely exist in crypto outside of like ephemeral sort of qualities, the same way Apple has a moat because of the feeling more so than the software itself. And they have other things that like move towards that. But I guess like it's like when you think about crypto, it's really things that are not businesses, but it's like Bitcoin has a moat, or I mentioned it's funny you say that, because like until you said that, I never thought about the fact that it's really difficult to build moats on a permissionless system where you can just build and replicate code comparatively to traditional businesses where, again, you can go down the list of dozens of even the top companies in the world and realize what their moat is that they have that nobody else has. I would argue those moats came because of dominance and execution and iteration, because Google didn't have a moat when it launched. Google had a moat because it out executed and out iterated its competitors. Because before Google, there was Yahoo, which was actually used widely as a search engine. There's others that I can't remember now. Or now we're Ask Jeeves and web crawler. Ask Jeeves, yeah.
So it didn't really have a moat on the product. It had a moat on the execution and the iteration and first mover advantage in some areas. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying is moats, especially in Web3, it's everybody uses it to sound. Yeah, I don't know what. Lots of terms in Web3 are used that aren't really true, and that's one of them. I think it's very hard to have a moat here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you could theoretically poke a hole in any moat of any company, but like when I use Facebook as an example, it's like they're the first ones to truly use data-driven social media, and that led to their advertising. And yes, people can replicate it, but like they got that head start because of it. Certain insurance companies have moats because of the user-based insurance that they've done. Like those come to mind for me. So I think you can come up with them, but to your point, like Disney IP moat, certain things like that. And when they don't have a moat, they buy the river next door. So I think it's like interesting, like though the way you put it, because like theoretically you could poke holes in all of them, but like I think Web3, I don't know if it's because we're early or it's just especially difficult in this industry. And I'm not trying to derail us, but when you made that comment, I was like, the hell is this guy talking about? I'm like, holy shit, you're kind of right there. So anyway, sorry, Cap.
It's kind of an unlock for me. It's kind of scary, like to be building in crypto, knowing that like the barrier of entry is, I mean, like the more we talk through this, I think like liquidity might be the moat for some protocols. I know that that's not accurate, but it's just like I'm trying to think through this in real time, and it really is really interesting. This is an interesting party trick. Pons came on, and I'm like, we're gonna go deep on Xeet, and we're gonna go after you for how you launch. And he's like, let me put your brain in a pretzel. I'm like, I forgot what we were even talking about in the first place because he gave me a tongue twister here. Expanding curiosity, Steve.
Yeah, Pons expanding my curiosity. Put my brain in a pretzel. Anyway.
We did get a question from Captain Dab Pans. I think it's a good one. He said, and I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask Pons to get his response. He says, would brands rather have A, 5 influencers posting for 200 million impressions, or B, 1 million small accounts who genuinely care about the brand getting 200 million impressions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's B, but B is much harder to come by. But we launched the Plague with that same mentality. Like we didn't hire any influencers. We didn't do any of that. In fact, this was back in the early 2020. We minted in April 2022, and this was when Gary Vee was still, everybody was trying to get Gary Vee's attention, and they were tagging I was running the Plague account pre-mint from a marketing standpoint, and everybody's tagging, oh, Gary Vee, look at this Gary Vee, and then I sent a post from the Plague account that said, hey, we don't care about Gary Vee. Gary Vee's one guy with 1 million followers. We'd rather have 1,000 people with 1,000 followers, or 10,000 people with 100 followers to spread our message. And actually, Gary Vee, it was funny as he commented on it, right? But that is much harder to do than it is to say. And that's a good. When I went back to the smaller account thing, that's why we want to get the smaller accounts involved. But then again, why not have both the big guys and the small guys working in unison to try and to make things happen, which is the point.
Agreed. I got a few more questions for you if you got time. One is, and again, no hard feelings if you're not ready to speak about any of this. I understand that it is a industry where there is not many moats, and many people will copy pasta and attempt to front run where they can. So fully respect if no comment is the answer. But I'm biased. We're very biased here for this next question. But what about video? What about audio, spaces, podcasts? The world is more than just written content on X. Are you thinking about that when you're building out Xeet, or is it just looking for the content on X itself?
No, I think those are important things, and I don't have any problem commenting on that because you'd have to be an idiot not to be trying to figure that part out. We're not in an industry of idiots for the most part. So I know those other guys are trying to solve that as well. So yeah, for sure. That articles, like Steve wrote, those kind of things need to be taken into account. And so that's where, I think that there needs to be, that's where the human element today comes into play. I think it's in a lot of cases. So, but yeah, it's definitely it's definitely something that needs to be considered because you could argue, and you guys would, that a space that talks about like we are right now is much more effective than even 100 posts about a product about a topic.
Yep. I know I'm sitting in an incredibly biased seat, but I believe, I genuinely believe this, that us talking about Xeet on our show, not even today, just talking about it the day after it launched, was far more impactful, far more signal than Zubik, who spammed his link 100 times on his feed. Yet he's got 300,000 points. I have 350 points, right? Like, and I'm not complaining. It's a broken system in that regard. Would you agree?
Yeah, but that's not the system. But yeah, if it was, then yes, for sure.
That's
kind of. You could also argue, just to go back to my original point. You could also argue is like Zubik's got a good following and he's got a good account anyway, so it doesn't necessarily relate to him. But if I'm a small guy and I participated and I do get a lot of points out of that, I get a head start in a system where I'm probably not going to do super well because I don't have a big following, those kind of things. So it gets them engaged into the system to begin with, instead of, you see a lot of talk on the timeline as, how can I as a small guy earn points for this platform or that platform? I think that's a problem that does need to be solved.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, okay, go ahead, Cap.
The other one, and I don't know, maybe more to come, maybe again, one of these things you can't really speak to yet. I'm curious if you can share anything about the partnership or the collaboration with Ethos. I like one of the pieces of FOMO I have a regret this cycle is I stopped grinding Ethos. I was doing the daily task for a while, then they changed the score, and I got upset, and it was an emotional mistake because I believe like what you're doing with Ethos, we're going to see more and more of that as well. I saw Kobe talking about wanting to incorporate Ethos into Echo and their fundraising platform. I just like, can you anything just high level about Serpent or the product, and then second question would be, can you expand upon how that ties into Xeet?
Yeah, I won't expand into how it ties into Xeet, but you've just seen since we made that announcement, how many announcements have you seen now that they're integrating Ethos? That's what I'm talking about, the no moat thing. It's like now, even the top platform is talking about opt-in for something like that. So for me, it was obvious.
I love how he won't even say the K name.
I know. Yeah, well, it is. That's marketing 101.
Respect. I love it. we don't say the state up north. There's a state north of Ohio that we won't even use the letter it starts with in language.
Yeah. But anyway, so that to me it was an obvious thing. I mean, is Ethos perfect? No. But Serpent's a smart guy. He's going to iterate and and he's got first movers advantage, and people are now paying more attention. Again, when we made that announcement, I've seen 3 or 4 people now make the announcement they're going to integrate Ethos. And just to be frank, I asked him, I was like, hey, we're going to make this announcement, and then all of a sudden people are going to want to do this. Can we get exclusivity? And he said, no, we have an open, and he's smart for this, by the way. We've got an open source API. Anybody can jump onto it. And that's what's going to happen. And that's good, because there needs to be, some people get pissed off about Ethos, and I can't help but notice that most of the people that get pissed off about Ethos have bad scores. And that's just one of those things. It's like, hey, if you built a reputation for yourself, you probably made good money building that bad reputation for yourself, but there's got to be some consequence, and Ethos adds that. Now, are there unfair reviews, and is there the whole circle jerk thing happening among agencies and those kind of things? Of course, but that over time, that stuff will the more reviews that you get, the more attention this stuff gets. It'll even itself out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And Steve, it's probably time to have Serpent back on at some point, because I'm rooting for him. I love what they're building. I'm genuinely curious how the hell they're going to monetize it. And maybe they don't. Maybe they got things figured out a different route. But and maybe it is part of these collaborations. But with it, to your point, with it being open source API, that doesn't sound like they're going to be monetizing it with collabs and partnerships, if I were to guess.
Well, I think if you look at the review platforms on Web 2. They've figured out ways to monetize that in multiple ways. So I think there's avenues there. I haven't thought too much about it, but I'm sure there's ways to monetize that.
Last question I have for you, Pons, and then Steve, we'll give you the old, is there anything we didn't ask you? Is there anything that you wanted to share about? I know we mostly talking about Xeet today, but Grind, I saw we delayed, I think wisely so, delayed TGE with the conflict in the Middle East. It is announced coming next week. Is that correct?
Monday.
And anything else, like if for those that haven't been paying attention, is it too late? Is there anything you could do now? And anything you wanted to share about Grind? Actually,
the dev is probably yelling at me on Discord now, because we were supposed to make an announcement at 9:30 Eastern. If you enjoy the gambling type games on Abstract, we had one that came out of our hackathon. We did a hackathon with Bearish where we wanted people to come up with ways to utilize Grind. And there's a game launching, Hash Crash, on Abstract, probably as soon as I get off here and make the announcement. It's probably already live, but once we make the announcement, you can earn, if you play the game, you like those games, you go there, you can play it on Abstract and earn points towards Grind. So when we do the TGE Monday, if you played the game, you will get some Grind rewards for doing so. But yeah, we're excited about that. There's a lot of things coming for that again, we're launching it as a meme coin, but it'll be fun as things roll out on what we've got working for Grind. But yeah, it's unfortunate we had to delay it, but I think it was the right thing to do, and I don't think it's really going to make a long difference. Again, like most things, if you're only worried about the day of launch, then you're worried about the wrong things anyways. So in the long run, it'll be fine.
Yeah, launch should be the start, not the end. And I think in crypto, that's not always the case. Yeah. I mean, look, before I let you get out of here, like legitimately, not because I'm shilling, but because I'd love your opinion based on what you're building. Would love if you have 15 minutes to listen to that article to get your opinion on sort of some different directions. I was looking at InfoFi because I'm curious if it aligns with the vision that you have. Because I'm thinking always in a Web 2 sense, not just Web 3, and how a product scales versus just has the same, certain amount of wallets, just, tossing money around until we all slowly have sort of this diminishing return. So I'd love your opinion on that and just get your thoughts based on it. That said, like anything we didn't ask you about today that you want to hit on, whether it is, Grind or Xeet or anything else.
No, I mean, the only thing I want to say is I'm getting a lot of attention for this on the timeline, but I'm one third of the team. So, Scotty and Tolly are a big part of this project and the execution behind it. Like I'm just talking about it in meetings with them. They're executing all the other stuff. So I just want to make sure they get their shout outs there, because I'm getting the attention on timeline, but those guys are killing it.
Yeah, we'll give them some love. Well, thanks for joining us as always, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. And looking forward to seeing you at the next thing that you make an appearance at, kind of hidden in the shadows. Would love to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make that happen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Look, I mean, I don't know. I like that guy. It's hard for me not to, not to like, come around to it. But I think like, steadfast, I still didn't think there could have been some other launch strategies, but I understand the reasoning behind it. I also do think like it makes me excited when I hear about someone thinking about it outside of our context. It's not like I think one of the biggest pitfalls in crypto right now, in at least on my timeline, is everybody's only thinking about things in terms of incentive structures as they exist in crypto today. And I think when I hear someone like Pons say, I want to think of it as it exists outside of here, that's the thing that gets me super excited because not enough people think about how things scale. They're like, a lot of people think like, oh, well, people just want to collect our JPEGs and they'll come on and grab our ETH JPEGs. It's like, it's not that. You need to create familiar products. You need to create useful products. You need to create products that work for people. And so I think that thinking of it that way is going to be the long-term path to success versus thinking of, can I add a token launcher to whatever product I'm building because that's just going to print me money? And that, like, to me, that is the right way to think about it. So that part gets me excited, particularly about that conversation.
I agree. And I do believe InfoFi is here to stay. I do not believe it's in its final form. I do believe Kaido has a material lead at this point, being first to market, but I don't think it's, I don't think they're locked in. I don't think it's that they've already won. Like, I think it's very much so a possibility that someone captures as much or more market share than they have. And I'm going to like, my brain is still kind of in a pretzel over this whole crypto doesn't have a moat thought. Like it really was an unlock for me, Steve. Like I don't even, like things completely unrelated with InfoFi. I'm now thinking like, this is like, it really is a wild, it's like the wild, wild west beyond regulation and, or lack thereof. And it's just not everything, but it feels like everything is open source. Everything is public. Everything is out there. And it's just, it's kind of funny to me that like we talk so much about IP and copyright laws, and it's like, but here you can just kind of copy everything. I mean, on paper, like, and people, it's not the right mode. I know it's kind of a hyperbole. I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
right, like
I got to continue to unpack this thought in my head as after we wrap the show.
Yeah, like patents exist, right? And so, like in that sense, like it's not as if somebody has a patent for something. Like Billy Betts' proprietary algorithm is its proprietary algorithm, right? Like that is like the Billy Betts moat, for example. But like in theory, is it something that somebody could copy and do? Again, there's this philosophy kind of he hit on, like, does anybody truly have a moat? And it's like, well, yeah, like companies do, but like in crypto, it's a unique problem because like Pump Fun exists, and you could argue like that they have like a user base or whatever, but like, you know, it can be built up. The other thing is like moats don't exist forever always. Like, you know, like Yahoo was the thing, and, you know, Yahoo, you know, Google wanted to be sold to Yahoo. They had the opportunity to buy it, and then they didn't, and then they got crushed by them. And so, you know, it's like, you know, Netflix had a moat until they didn't. Now everybody has streaming services. So I just think there's a lot of conversations around it in trad business, but I could talk it through. I think in crypto it's hard.
I think I may remove the word moat from my vocabulary and replace it with barrier of entry or barrier to entry.
Like maybe like a drawbridge that might go over some water, and you might call that water something.
It's just semantic, but I think a moat seems like, I don't know, more than just a barrier. I'm digressing here, but I do know that when I get off the show today, now my day is going to consist of, I'm going to play some Hash Crash on Abstract Steve. I'm going to, certainly get my Billy Betts picks in there, but also back on the, I meant when I said about Ethos, I'm going to be forcing that daily habit now, and maybe even doing some more there. I think I want a validator.
I don't think I want a validator. Just at the price they're at. Like, I mean, it'd be cool if I got one for free. Like all those people, I would have sold it by now. I'll be honest.
I think that because the supply and the attention they're getting, I think that I still don't know how they're going to monetize the thing, but I could see that TGE becoming one of the more exciting ones. And I could see those NFTs absolutely cooking leading up to TGE beyond where they're at.
Yeah, well, I mean, the TGE is an interesting one because, you know, it's like, why do they need a token? It's like, well, right now I have a certain amount of money staked on people, which is like one of the ways that you help build up other people's reputation and people build up yours. I don't think Cap staked me back, RIP me, but like I know you just haven't been active on there, but like
well,
you
that's
actually
what I
vouched.
did. I was planning on sending some ETH over. I was going to get really active, and then they changed the score. My score got nerfed, and I was like, screw you. And I just started fading it. That was a mistake. Like, I made an emotional decision that in hindsight was very much a mistake. I probably could have got a validator had I not been freaking emotional and getting pissed off about some numbers on a screen. Like, they just changed the numbers on the screen and I took it personal. It wasn't personal. They did the right thing, but I was emotional about it. It felt like I got shorted or slighted. And so I said, screw you. I'm not wasting my time here. And in hindsight, it would have not been a waste of time.
I mean, I half-assed it. I didn't get a validator, but I was like not too far off if I just actually tried a little harder. But yeah, do the daily activity, go leave reviews, you know, and, you know, just, you know, review people back, all those good things, you know, stake a little bit of ETH on there. I think I have like 0.22 staked or something between people that I've staked and vouched for. And you know, that's how you get involved in the platform. But like with their token, if their token becomes, well, the obvious thing for their token is like, that's your reputation staking token, right? So like, if I can get my 0.2 ETH back that I have staked and swap that with their token, I'm gonna stake 0.2 ETH with their token, because that is, you know, then the ETH becomes liquid. And so there are things they can do with the token reputation wise that make it more put your money where your mouth is. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I always have probably 5 or 6 people pulled up I haven't reviewed, and when I get the chance, I want to like truly review them. Like, it's something that I like to, you know, I try to do like, you know, a few every week or so. I do the daily task.
I have genuine questions. Let me ask you this, Steve. How important is quality over quantity on there? Like I can
important.
So like
They're filtering out AI. Go ahead.
The reason I haven't left many reviews is because I don't want to just go like, oh, Web3 legend. I actually want to put a thoughtful, intentful review, but it takes time. Like, should I actually do that and only do 5 reviews a day as opposed to just going and spamming 50 Web3 legends? Like, that's probably the proper path, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could do both, but like the truth is, like, yes. I mean, I am adamant on. They actually have like sort of a counter, and they look at review quality now. So they're trying to improve that sort of thing. They're trying to look for AI. I know I've gotten some AI reviews from somebody who just they took my X bio, they put it into ChatGPT, and it just spit it back out, and that was a review I got. So like, there are people. I'm not kidding you. Like, I took a screenshot of it at one point. I wonder if it's even still up there. I'll see if I can find it while I talk. But yeah, I mean, they do definitely have filters to try to look for that sort of stuff. And I would also say, like, I know this is corny, but like, you know, just do, you know, leave reviews because you actually want to leave reviews. You know, like I guess like, oh, here it is. Okay, read more. All right, let me read this review to you. Steve Kaczynski, a true trailblazer in crypto and beyond. Nobody calls me by my last name here because it's really not many places except my book. And they said, he's such a legend. As co-author of the Everything Token and the first Harvard Business Review article on NFTs, Steve has been a pioneer in making sense of this wild crypto world for all of us. His co-hosting gig on Coffee with Captain adds a fun, relatable vibe, and his consulting work with big names like Doodles and Starbucks, ? By the way, hallmark of AI. And his consulting work with big names like Doodles and Starbucks, that's next level, ! His website, then he puts my website, stevekaczynski.com, shows how deep his expertise goes. And it's inspiring to see him break down completely complex ideas with such passion. Steve's a gem who keeps pushing the boundaries. I'm glad this person left me a review. I'm not hating on this person. Thank you for the nice review. I think they've gotten a lot of positive reviews elsewhere, so maybe they are a real person. But that's an example of like, this person is trying to get grind reviews, and they put my bio into AI, and it spit that out. Now, again, I'm not hating on it. I'm just simply giving context that, like, you know, appreciate that. But like, it feels like that, just like there are people who are just putting people's bios into AI, leaving them and letting it look like quality. But yeah, I'm and there's also these leaderboards things. Again, I don't even know what these mean, but I'm 325 in all of Ethos and number 26 out of 152 in top yappers. Don't know what that means on Ethos. It shows up in a little box in her sentiment.
So Dobbin says if you vouch, you get way more points. So vouch and review some buds, but don't 3,3 because they just developed an AI bot to catch people doing reviews for reviews. So if you're doing that, spread them out over a few days. And yeah, Risk Brian, you got your Ethos invite. I had one left, and you got it. So sometimes if you want something, just ask. You never know. If Steve or I can deliver the ask, we would gladly do that. Speaking of, we need to pick our Caps Clutch Market parlay of the day today, Steve. You want to give me a number between 1 and 10?
Let's go with 4.
All righty. 4 is Afro called CMAC. Following me. This is a new follow. Actually, let me do this here. Oh, where'd it go? Oh my God, I just lost it. This is good TV. Man. Okay, so this one, someone just reposted it, but the one when I first counted, it's Afro called CMAC NFT. Congratulations, you won today's Caps Clutch Market parlay of the day. I will send you a DM now. Just need your ETH address. It'll hit you on Ape Chain. Sorry, I didn't mean share DMs. I hope I didn't out anyone there. But congrats and thanks for the support.
Awesome. I mean, look, that said, let's send everyone off into their day. I've got 8 chain to hit today, a pizza party, and then, yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to turn in, I'm not even kidding, I'm going to turn in at like 9 o'clock tonight to get some sleep. It's like, I'm going to get some work done. I got some, interviews to edit. I want to probably edit a clip on Pons putting us in a pretzel about moats, and get that out there at some point. But in the meantime, if you're in New York City, come say what's up. I'll be around, and appreciate everyone coming through. That said, let's send everyone off to their day cap. Any other parting thoughts before we go?
I don't think so. I thought I had another one, but I took good notes today, but my notes are all checked off. So I think we're good to go. Appreciate everyone being here. As always, hit the reminders. I remember what it was. These two things may or may not be related. Go hit the carousel reminders. I'll pin it up all the way to the left. Smash it for Thursday and Friday. Would love that support. And then also I saw things are really starting to heat up. Garga has a 1-hour chat in the other side Discord tomorrow, I believe at 3 Eastern, Steve. Things are starting to heat up over there.
Yeah, wonder what that could be. I guess we'll find out. Awesome to see though. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you said actually I'm not going to give anything away here. But no, very cool. I don't know. We got the fam in town. We're gonna be talking to Gargo a little bit later this week when you talk about surprise guests. I don't know if we're supposed to say that, but I know he's you said he's got a chat at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Would love to talk to.
And breaking news. I just share with my in real life friends, so I get them all to try to become at least a whole coiner. Bitcoin is ready to full send. All-time high looks imminent. Maybe not today, but it's giving me the the beach ball underwater type feel. Bigger breaking news. Someone just deposited 275,000 Solana. That's $40 million approximately into Hyperliquid after withdrawing it from stake.com. This marks it the single largest spot asset deposit ever on Hyperliquid. I've said it many times before. I shared earlier, Fartcoin doing more volume on Coinbase than is Doge. Fartcoin is a very clear winner this cycle. I'm not saying go buy it now. I don't know where it goes from here, but congratulations everyone with a big Fartcoin bag. It absolutely won the meme cycle. I think it won it to the point where we're still going to be talking about Fartcoin 4 years from now, just like we still talk about Doge. Secondly, Hyperliquid is just crushing. And just as we talked about like the lack of moats or barrier of entry in crypto, man, I don't see a world where we don't see more and more dexes. We just, the upcoming dex on Mega ETH just got funded $15 million. The amount of success that they're having right now liquidity is powerful. It's important. It blows my mind because it's not new, right? Like Uniswap existed. Now, like the perps and stuff they unlocked, like I get it's novel, but it's just like how well they've executed and the momentum they've had it's pretty impressive. And someone moving over $40 million, I think when we're having a conversation over signal and noise, seems like a good amount of signal in when whales moving around. And it could be all manipulated, but it just seems like it's beyond a point where just people, pulling levers and making things look, fake volume and stuff. It's just Hyperliquid, Fartcoin, Kaido, 3 very clear winners this cycle. Not saying others won't come up, but congratulations to the team there. And yeah, they just continue to do impressive things.
Yeah, I have not been involved since the beginning. Problem, I mean, the barrier to entry thing's been a problem for me, which is, sad to say, but it's just, I don't know, like I basically not faded it. It was I wanted to get involved. I wanted to try it. And then, what ended up happening for me is it's like, oh, you need to, use a VPN and this part's confusing. And I was just like, I'm out. I can't do this. I'm out. And that was a mistake. And, I am paying the price as a result. So hopefully, GG to all my friends out there. Everyone's like, oh, it's still early, but, GG to all the friends and people who are just printing on Hyperliquid, because agree, absolute champ of this cycle. That said, let's send everyone off on their day. Thanks everyone who came through this morning. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.